Hi, everybody. Mike Handcock here, and welcome to Architects of the Future. Now, you might want to know why I called it that. It's because this is really about taking a leap into the future. And I don't know how you're feeling, but 2025 has accelerated very fast. Yep, I can't believe myself that it's this time of year. But not only that, is that I've just come back from a 2.5 month overseas trip, literally got back the day before yesterday, and we're in multiple countries, and I can tell you that the world has definitely changed. There's a lot going on in the world. So from that, I think is a good reason to involve some of this in what we're doing here today. I'm going to do a screen share with you, and then we're going to jump straight into it. I'm just going to make sure I choose the right screen share for us, and here we go. Wait for the presentation to load up so that you can see it. And as I said, make sure you take screenshots as we go through this. Make sure you take your notes. If you have any questions, go to the chat. I will be in and out of the chat a little bit. I'm just going to reduce us up here, and we're going to get underway. Okay, so I take it everybody can see that. If I can ask Brian, can you just give me a thumbs up? Thank you, Brian. Well done. Here we go. So I want to start by telling you about the Logan effect. Now, I call this the Logan effect because Mike Logan is a very good friend of mine, and this is a discussion that we had going back a number of years now, where his industry was in total chaos. And in fact, everything that he'd studied and everything that he had done up until that date was no longer relevant. He worked in the movie business, and in the movie business, he was in special effects. And he was a model maker. In fact, he'd won an Emmy Award for working on a film called Moby Dick, where he actually built the whale. And so then when we were chatting, he's saying, CGI, computer-generated imaging, has come in and it's destroying his business. And he doesn't want to go and start learning all this new CGI stuff. So, where he was making a lot of money in the film business, suddenly he found in the last year he was making nothing. And he found that, suddenly his competition went from his peers to people who were 20 years old, and basically they knew a lot more than he did. So I don't know if you've experienced this in your business, but certainly I think it's something that I've experienced in various times in various businesses that I've been involved in. So what he decided to do is he made a decision that he would take all of his knowledge that he'd had over all of the years that he'd been doing these things, and he would look at a totally different industry. And his criteria for that industry is it had to be one that wasn't going to be affected by economies, by global financial crisis, by anything like that. And number two, it had to be something where it was very cash flow rich. In other words, money didn't come and go in that industry. And so what he did there is he created a product that became influential in that industry. In fact, it revolutionized that industry because he came at it from the concept of coming out of an entirely different industry. And that helped his business go exponential. So as it stands today, this business that he's got now, which is a medical modeling business. So he went into the medical industry and he started creating medical models based on his ability to make everything from, he built the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to medical models. And this thing has just gone boom. His biggest client is one of the biggest military forces on the planet. And over the last, 15 years since he's done this, he's achieved so much more than I think most people achieve in 10 lifetimes. So I call it the Logan effect, where you look at something and go, this isn't working, but what skills do I have? What can I apply them to that's an industry that I can really adapt to and that I'd really enjoy working in and that I can make a huge difference in? And he always said, I want to make something for 1 cent and sell it for $10,000. And whilst it doesn't cost him a cent to make what he does sell them for an extreme amount of money. So I just want to put that in place because times have changed. The way everybody does business has changed. So we're going to move on. So I want to ask you this question. I want you to just go to the chat now and tell me this. How many of you, are currently feeling a little bit stuck? So what do I mean by a little bit stuck? In other words, things just aren't working the way that you thought that they would this year. So let's have a look at our chat and let's go there. Just tell me if you're feeling a little bit stuck, that things aren't working the way that you thought that they should this year. So thank you. We've got one honest person. Now more are coming in. Thank you, Brian. Okay, we've got more people here. Great. Yeah, okay. So I'm getting a feel here that there's quite a lot of you that are feeling stuck. Now, I would be surprised if, more than 10 or 15% of the people on this call today, and what number are we up to? We're up to about 60 at the moment, people on the call. I would be surprised if, lots of you said, I'm not stuck. This is the greatest year I've ever had, because times have changed and things are really starting to spiral. And yeah, this is a great comment. It's not quite what I expected. A little bit more than a little stuck. Okay, thanks, Michael. Yeah, okay, I totally get it, right? So hopefully this is going to unstick you a little bit. So today, what we're going to go through is we're going to look at hacking the algorithm of influence. And that's really about crafting a cult-like following in a skeptical world. And I'm going to share with you a couple of case studies from my recent trip. As I said, I've just been away for 2.5 months. And we're going to have a look at some of the people I met in that time and what they're doing, because they're pretty extraordinary. And then number 2, we're going to look at some quantum wealth triggers. So this is all about unlocking experiential revenue. And we're going to be looking at some behavioral economics there as well. So watch out for that. And number 3 is we're going to be talking about chaos, because the world's in chaos at the moment, but you can turn chaos into something that you can master and you can use it for a competitive advantage. And I think that that's something that if every one of you gets an idea out of this, then you'll be much better off from it. In addition, today I'm going to be sharing with you our Architects Future Academy, our Future Architects Academy as well. So watch out for that, because it's something that we've spent a bit of time doing, and I think you're really going to love it. So that's what we're up to today. So here's a question for you. Did you know this? Did you know that 82% of people currently are valuing authenticity over polish? So look at all the videos that are coming out online and who's becoming an influencer these days, and you'll understand it. 70% of brands are now using psychological triggers to get you motivated to use their brands, a lot more than ever before. And there's 40% more chaos in the world than just 10 years ago. Now, I thought that figure might be a lot more, but that's the actual figure. So with that, I'll just let one more person in before we click on. With that, I was just in Istanbul in Turkey less than 48 hours ago. Istanbul Airport is the most expensive airport in the world. In fact, in a survey that was done in the New York Post this year, out of the top 10 items that people buy when they're at an airport, Istanbul Airport scored the top in 6 of them. $28 for a Big Mac. I didn't buy one, but $28 for a Big Mac at Istanbul Airport. Now, you might go, how do they do this? How do they even get people to buy this stuff? It's fascinating to me, because Istanbul isn't the biggest airport in the world by far, yet it is the most expensive airport. But in the last 12 months, it's grown substantially. It gets 18,000 passengers per hour. The average food and beverage spend from each of those passengers is $41. So think of that like a Big Mac and a Coca-Cola. And so there's $18 million a year that's going through that airport. So here's what I want to tell you about this is not at all about what your product costs. This is about the experience that you create around your product and the way in which you brand that experience. Because quite frankly, I would have thought that New York, London, Paris, Tokyo, any of those airports, Sydney even, would be far more expensive than Istanbul. The minute you get out of the airport, it's a very cheap country to buy food in and to do things in. In the airport, it's the most expensive in the world. So for those of you that are meeting me for the first time, and there'll be a few of you on this call, I just want to give you a little bit of background on me. So who's Mike Handcock? I'm currently the president of the Global Speakers Federation. I was inaugurated just last month. I'm the 2020 winner of the APAC, that's Asia Pacific Conscious Leadership Award. I'm the creator of 2 events, which I want to put this in because there's so much I can put in, like all of us can put in about what we do. But I created Trend 2020 and 2015. And this year we've been running a series of Trend 2035 events. Now, why I put that in is because I'm very interested in what's coming next in the world and always have been. And I've run over 350 business masterminds in 20 countries, the last of which was in Atlanta, Georgia on Friday. So one more thing, 7 times international best-selling author. So I know a bit about business. I know a bit about the world, and I've traveled the world extensively, and I talk to a lot of people. So let's dig into what we're going to do today. And we're going to be talking about hacking the algorithm of influence. And so I want to share a person that I met on my trip. And I met him in Atlanta last week, and I thought, it's a really great story. His name's Rick Beato. Now, unless you're a musician like me, you won't understand who Rick Beato is. But Rick Beato is a music teacher who started a YouTube channel, and he started by dissecting songs, and he had a show called What Makes This Song Great? Okay, so that's where he started. And it all started in 2015 when he put a video up of his son who has perfect pitch. At the time, the boy was 8, and now he's 18. And that video went viral, and that kicked him off. But in talking to Rick in his studio last week, I said to him, you would have created this even if you hadn't have done that viral video because of some things that I'm going to share with you. So who's Rick today? He has 5.1 million followers on YouTube, 2.3 million followers on Instagram, and 440,000 followers on Facebook. He's a YouTuber, and that's how he describes himself. So what does he do in order to create all of this? Well, he has expertise and versatility. So you have expertise, but probably it's spread too thin. Rick's expertise is as a music teacher, and he understands music theory brilliantly. In fact, he was telling me that when he gets and to interview some of the best people in the world in music, like he's interviewed Brian May from Queen, he's interviewed Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd twice, he just interviewed Joe Perry from Aerosmith. He said often they're very nervous in front of him because he understands music better than they do. So he has an expertise, but he's very versatile. Lundy asked him, who's the one person who's already died that you would have loved to have interviewed? And he said, Johann Bach. So very versatile in terms of his expertise. He's very engaging. Online, if you watch any of his videos, and I welcome you to, I'll get him a few more subscribers. He's incredibly authentic, and he's obviously very passionate. And he has one strategy, and that one strategy is YouTube. Now, he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, he's on other things, but YouTube is his strategy. It's what he does. How many of us are trying to do 1,000 different things out here? So what is that strategy? So firstly, YouTube Shorts. That's his main thing. He cuts his videos into literally 30 seconds to a minute long videos, and they run as YouTube Shorts. And that gets people interested in his channel, and then they come onto his channel and they subscribe. Then he runs with those ads that are aligned to those shorts, which sell one major product that he has. And by the way, he never knew how to sell a product. He created this thing. He'd been creating it for 20 years. Somebody came in and said, you could really sell this, and helped him design the ads. He knows nothing about advertising or anything like that. And you can Google this, but apparently he sells between $60,000 and $80,000 a month of this product. So, and it's a very simple product. He has one path, and his one path is music. And so that is his thing. And his one path is understanding music. So he doesn't get on there and play songs or anything like that. He gets on there and talks about how a song was made and what made it great and what the artist did. And then he interviews artists as well. And he has one truth. And his truth is that it's music, music, music. In fact, he works 7 days a week. He travels the world interviewing artists. This is his thing. This is what he loves to do. So let's look at his methodology. So what's his methodology for being hugely influential and being so influential that if you're Mick Jagger or Paul McCartney, you know who he is. So this is his methodology. Number one, he starts from a total base of authenticity. Then he moves to one message. His one message is really what makes this great in music. And, he does some things like he looks at the current Spotify top 10 and tells you why these songs suck and why they're not good, or what makes that song really great and why it is good. Then he's got uniqueness. Plenty of people have tried to copy him, but because he's got a certain skill and a certain authenticity, they're unable to copy him. He's built community. Even though I've only been a subscriber to his on YouTube, I surreptitiously, through my SPY methodology, found a contact details for him and reached out to him, and he wanted to chat with me. It's like, and we asked him the question, out of all of your 5.14 million subscribers, why did you want to talk to me? He said, I love talking to people and I found you really interesting. So it really does build community very strongly. And in fact, we're going to do a couple of projects together, hopefully over the next couple of years. And then he engages people very well. So he engages his audience in trying things or doing this or recommending to him what to do next. And he gets a lot of feedback. There's a lot of feedback loops in what he does. So he basically uses this influence algorithm. And I see that we've got Dennis Dianutslos on the call. So welcome, Dennis, because I'm using you as somebody who does something great in this, because you do something great. If any of you are on the call, check out Dennis Dianutslos' Leadership is Changing podcast. So this is what happens. So firstly, how to actually do this, how to build this influence algorithm is you need to define your niche and your core message. And you need to get that into some sort of workable blueprint. This is one of our clients' blueprints here that they share with their client. So everything, you've got to fine tune every aspect of that niche that you're in. And the core messages, bring them down to one simple statement of purpose. Then you'll see Dennis's photo in the next one here. You've got to produce consistent, value-packed micro content. And the way Dennis does that is his advertising, his trailers and everything like that for his podcast. It's really lending the strength to the podcast. And it's basically making sure that you're getting the messaging out there and you're getting feet seeing you. What you want is feet coming through your shop all the time. And this can be done through the micro content stuff. Then moving to actively engage people and amplify the interactions. One of the organizations that I've worked with, which is Unique Speaking Bureau, do this really, really well. They listen a lot to what their clients and their speakers are saying. They recognize different people all the time. There's hardly a week goes by where they're not recognizing some speaker or some client or something like that. They get feedback loops from everybody and they repost a lot of those feedback loops. They're very actively engaged. And I think, in the way in which they've grown in the last couple of years is testament to actually this part of influence in actively engaging people. And then you've got to nurture loyalty, and that's via exclusivity, via community, recognizing people, referral, and acknowledgements as well. So I'm going to have a look at the comments in a minute, but just before I do, I've got a case study here, and this is Liv Conlon, and I think she's done influence better than anybody. She's an entrepreneur based in Spain, and her critical issue was she just couldn't attain the next level in what she wanted to do. So she became prolific on social media, but it was the same message all the time. It was about, her message was, you're a woman, you can do it, you can have more, and come to my high-level women's event, which is called Stage a Boss. So you're seeing Harper's stage there. And it's all about celebrating women in business. And then it's all about taking your power back from being in a job, taking your power back from coming back to the workforce after having a child, et cetera, et cetera. So her high-cost, masterfully created experiences did this. Now, she's been able to build at the ripe old age of 25 a seven-figure coaching business based on this, based on influence. And when I say seven figures, I'm talking about seven figures in UK pounds. So if you want to work that out in your currency, that's a lot of money in most currencies. And she's done that all in 2 years. So mainly, she calls herself prolific on media. So that's been the key to this. And then bringing people and getting them together, building this brand online, and then getting them into various rooms where she can sell her products and services. Before I go into quantum wealth triggers, which is the next one, I'm just going to have a quick look at our chat here and just see what's going on here. Nice to see people there. Lawrence, you follow Rick Beato as well on YouTube. Listened to him last night, actually. So did I. Yeah, I was watching the Joe Perry interview last night. So thanks for that. Okay, let's look at quantum wealth triggers, which is the second one we're going to talk about. In this, I want to use Marsha Martin. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Marsha. Landy and I caught up with her in Orlando. And I've known Marsha for about 18 years. And she was the woman who started the personal development business worldwide. So whilst her name may not be familiar to many of you, she was originally behind Tony Robbins and filling Tony's rooms around the world in the late 80s and early 90s. Before that, her original entry into the personal development field was in 1971. Yes, she's a lot older than what she looks. Was in 1971, where she worked with the company that is now known as Landmark Forum, and she filled their rooms worldwide and built them from having 10 people in a room to being in 116 countries as they are now. In addition to that, she's worked with numerous other household names, particularly Jack Canfield, and helped him form the Transformational Leadership Council that he put together. He wrote the book Chicken Soup for the Soul. And in addition to that, she was the lady that brokered the deal to create the movie The Secret back in 2006 and introduced Rhonda Byrne to the people who were in the movie. So she's been there and done it all. So what am I talking about with Marsha? I'm talking about some quantum wealth triggers. So this is a good start because this is actually out of her book, and I'm going to talk a little bit about her book. And this is something that Tony Robbins said to her right back when she started working with Tony at the start of Tony's career. She said, Tony said, I don't want to find people to find their own answers. I want them to use my answers. Pretty interesting, I thought, from Tony, who brought out a film saying, I'm not your guru, but this is clearly saying I am your guru. But what Tony's really saying there is everything needs to come back to him all the time. No, he's not going to let anybody out of his ecosystem once he's in their ecosystem. And if you love Tony Robbins and you're a Tony Robbins convert, then you'll probably find that not too much goes out of his ecosystem. And even his key trainers and people that he's brought up to be good are all still in his ecosystem, which is why in the last few years, he's gone from about $200 million in net worth to over $500 million in net worth. So what he works on, Tony, and what is happening a lot around the world at the moment with organizations is they're working on your subconscious decision-making. So I want you to think about this in terms of your client, to work on their subconscious decision-making. So what does that mean? It means triggering an emotional feel-good state and these days a feel-safe state in a response from others, particularly your clients. If you can trigger that sort of emotional feel-good or feel-safe state in response to others, then I think that you are going to seriously start building your wealth because people are going to trust, and people do not trust anymore. Trust has been broken down for many years now. With the advent of digital marketing, trust is basically gone. Digital marketers will tell you can build trust online, but there's no trust built like than having two people in the same room talking about their dreams and desires and what they want to do together. That's where trust is truly built. So if I look at Marsha, she just brought out, and we find it very interesting that this book that she's just brought out, and if any of you are interested in the personal development field, go and get this book on Amazon, Sex, Power, and Transformation. It's her book on how the personal development field really works, and you will be shocked. about some of the people that she's mentioned in this book and what they really do and what they really do to you as a client. And as a person who's worked in this field for more than 20 years now, even some of the things in here shocked me, I've got to be honest with you. And I think it's really interesting because in terms of Marsha's own personal exponential wealth, everything that she did up until now that's gone into this book, which is a tell-all about the industry, is going to create her more wealth than any money she's made out of the industry up to date, which is going to be fascinating. So by her being her absolute authentic self and using everything that she knows from an industry that she's been passionate about, she'll create the most money that she's ever created in that industry. Fascinating. So let's dig into that. I call it the quantum wealth framework. And so how it comes with you working with your client is this. Step one, you have to anchor expectations. So this is setting the stage for what's coming next. So many of us just jump in with our clients and say, we're so great at doing this without finding out about them and about telling them about how our process works. So I do it by default at the start of every one of these webinars that I do. I already have a slide that says, this is what we're going to work on today. Today we're going to cover 3 points. We're in the middle of the second one today. I'm also going to share to you about our Future Architects Academy as well. That's coming up shortly. And the information that I'm giving you today is based on the last 2.5 months of travel and what I'm seeing changing in the world, the way I'm seeing the world changing, and how I believe you can really fast track what you're doing and get a great result, not only in the next 4 or 5 months of this year, but moving into 2026 as well. Then we're going to move to number 2, which is rapport building, creating trust and pacing a meeting. So knowing that you're fully in charge of a meeting and driving that meeting forward. And, you know, those of you that have ever been in timeshare presentation, they understand how to drive the pace of a meeting, as well as what it says here, matching and mirroring. That means basically not being too different than the client that's sitting in front of you, matching and mirroring how they are, which is a neuro-linguistic programming technique. Number 3 here is creating value. Plus, ensuring that you drive home these days, the most important thing is going to be loss aversion. So how can somebody work with you and avoid loss? Because these days people don't trust. And because of that, they're always thinking, well, I've done this 3 times before and it didn't work out. So how can you actually create that trust again by driving home loss aversion? Number 4, urgency and social proof. So this is urgency. It's a sense of you must do this now because, let's face it, why waste time to do anything? I cannot understand people who put off decisions, you know, for, oh, well, you know, I'm just busy now. I'll do that next year. This seems like a good idea, but I won't do it now. You know, any real estate agent will tell you that the clients that put off decisions always lose their houses. They come in, oh, this is the most beautiful place. It's exactly what I've been looking for. You know, oh, it's got this. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, that's so wonderful. Yes, let us think it over and we'll get back to you. Then the next day they ring back and the real estate agent goes, sorry, I already sold it. You know, urgency is very keen. And I find that the more wealth somebody has, the better decision maker they are. People who generally don't have a lot of wealth are generally fairly poor decision makers. They sit on things for a long time and procrastinate about them. Whereas every billionaire I've ever interviewed says they make instant decisions. So a sense of must do combined with unwavering social proof. So if you don't have social proof, then you must definitely go and get social proof. You must go and get likes, comments, testimonials, get on the right platforms, build your brand on the right platforms, et cetera, et cetera. You need social proof. Video testimonials are always the best. And lastly, a call to action. So asking to buy more than once if needed. Now, here's a funny thing is that I interview a lot of people and I ask them about their sales processes. And I would say at least half of those people that are not selling don't ever ask anybody to buy. They expect that by the time they've finished their razzmatazz and told everybody how good they are, that people say, I just want to buy from you. But they never actually say, would you like to buy the product today from me? So that's number one. And if somebody goes, well, let me think it over, that you don't actually think it over with them and then ask them again. So if somebody says to you, I want to think it over, do you actually go, well, just go and think it over and come back? Or do you say, well, let's make sure you've got all the facts. Number one, this is what you told me you wanted. Number two, this is what you told me your problems were. Number three, we said that we can do this, this, and this. Number four, you told me that was your budget and it's in your budget. Number five is that it's going to meet everything you do. Apart from everything I've shared with you that's meeting everything that you told me, is there anything else you need to think about? If you just do that, most people will say, no, when you put it that way, it's actually quite good. Yeah, let's do it. So this whole process, and I'd suggest you take a screenshot of this whole process here is really going to assist you to actually grow your wealth. So somebody who's done this brilliantly is Diane Borman. And, she's been a client of ours for about 5 years now. When we started working with her, her issue was a lack of a clear pathway forward for her business, which was primarily a coaching business focused on getting people finance in their business. So we got her to focus on one clear message. The key to how she leapt forward was building a blueprint, which is called the Diamond Plan. I showed you a blueprint in the previous section. I said, there's one of our clients' blueprints. It wasn't Diane's, but the Diamond Plan became something that became so easily explainable for Diane with the clients, and they just got it. And then a great presentation, which was a combination of her own personal branding, okay, which she spent a lot of time and effort and energy on over the last few years, and also the way in which her keynote was packaged, that she's given time and time again and has given her just massive attraction strategy. Now, in the last 5 years, Diane has 10x her business. In fact, it's way more than 10x her business. Just by these simple things, clear messaging, the blueprint, great presentation, and keynote packaging. So far, I would like to know, let's go to the chat now and let's see if you can just put in the chat here, what is one thing that you have picked up so far out of this that you should be doing more of? Okay, so why do I call it quantum wealth? Because if you do this, Phil, I'll explain to everybody, is going to come up and he's going to be featured in my presentation. So be wary, Phil. Phil has written a book on quantum and is a quantum expert. I call it quantum wealth because it reaches into the ether and it doesn't necessarily make logical sense. But if you do these 3 or 4 things, then you will create far more wealth than you ever believed possible. Okay, I've got simplicity there. I've got focused on one thing. I've got don't give prospects. Where's that one gone? Don't give prospects too many options that lead to confusion. I've got one clear strategy, one clear message, match and mirror. So I've got some good stuff there. Okay, blueprint, authenticity and clear messaging. Let's see how we're going here. We've got 61 of you on the call, so a few more of you here. Create experience, social proof. Hi, Stephanie. Lovely to have you on the call here. And hi to Dennis as well. Okay, I think we've got enough to go on. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to share with you some things which might also help you, Phil, in understanding why I'm calling this quantum. Okay, so the amount of time you spend on building your influence can become exponential in your results. And that's what's happened with Rick. All he's done is built his ability to influence. And I want to give you just one thing here. Like you may not know who Dave Gilmour is, but you've probably heard of the band Pink Floyd. I mean, one of the best bands of all time. Dave Gilmour's a guitar player and songwriter for it. When Rick first interviewed Dave Gilmour, they had a really great interview. I've watched it. Lawrence, you've probably watched it as well. But now Dave Gilmour requested a second interview. And they've just completed the second interview. It's not out as yet, but he's done the second interview. And Dave drove an hour and a half to come and see Rick, brought his whole family to introduce them to him. This is one of the biggest stars in the world in music, brings his whole family to introduce them to this person. That's influence. And because of that, your results become exponential. That's tapping into the quantum field as far as I'm concerned. Authenticity is value. So the more authentic you can become, whether that means that it means you're not putting on faces here, that you can become truly authentic. The more authenticity you have, the greater your value. High cost is not an issue. $28 US for a Big Mac at Istanbul Airport, it's not an issue. Why? Because they've got customers coming through the airport, they've built the brand, and they've made Istanbul now a real hub. It's not the biggest airport in the world by far. Atlanta's the biggest airport in the world. But I can tell you that Atlanta is nowhere near as authentic, as influential as what Istanbul is. Emotion creates money. And I put the $4 signs in here, just like restaurants, because the more emotion you can put in something, the more that will make you money. There's an old saying, when they cry, they'll buy. Okay. The blueprint creates surety. So when you've got a blueprint for your customer and they can see the path and the journey that you're going to take them on, it gives them surety that they're going to get there. And lastly, rapport building is building trust. And the more rapport and the more time that you can spend building that with the people that you've got, the more trust you're going to have. So this is what I've covered so far. So now what I want to do is I want to segue and I want to tell you about the Future Architects Academy. And this is going to be your invitation for today. As you know, if you come to a webinar with me, I've always got an invitation there, and it's always something new and exciting. And this is something we've been working on, which is very futuristic. So I'm really excited to show you this. And today, I know some of you are going to become part of this because it's something we're going to be doing between now and about the end of November. So in saying that, I want to also assure you that this is something where you're going to get a lot of support in. So let's move forward. What is it? It's 6 90-minute group coaching sessions with me personally. So they will be done in small groups. Okay, I don't like big groups. So they'll be done in small groups, but they'll be 90 minutes each session. I allow 2 hours for them, but I generally keep the content to 90 minutes. And they'll be with me, and they'll be starting on Thursday in 2 weeks' time at this time of day. And they'll be every 2 weeks between now and the end of November. Secondly, we've compiled together 4 hours of video training and a comprehensive workbook that you can access at any stage, which goes through the material, goes into deeper and different areas that I'm going to go to in the group sessions as well. So it will add on to the group sessions, not be the same type of material as in the group sessions. In addition to that, you'll have full access to me on WhatsApp for coaching as you go through this. So if you have questions, if you want to throw anything by me, et cetera, then you will definitely have that access. Now, I ran just recently a speakers group coaching event. Phil, you were on that event. And so many people told me, in fact, about 50% of the people on that event told me it's way too cheap. And, for what they got out of it, it should be so much more. So guess what? I did put up the price from what that one was by $100, but I have put up the price. So it's not the same price as before. Now, I want to go into what the 6 sessions are going to be about. So in session 1, we're going to define your future blueprint. So we're going to be looking at a crafted personal strategy for you so that you can magnetize your clients to stick to you. We're going to be talking about blueprint creation, and we're going to have a focus on that. But there's also going to be an exercise on your market and who's the right market for you. In the second session, we're going to be looking at how you can build your own cult here, because cult is the root word of culture. So I'm going to be talking about nano storytelling. So this is the snippets of content that is actually going to start getting people to really latch onto you. So we're going to be talking then about the whole micro content creation system and what that looks like and how to build it, and then how to integrate that with platform engagement. And there'll be different platforms that each of you should be using. Some of you should be using TikTok. Some of you should be using podcasts. Some of you should be using YouTube. Some of you should be just using Facebook. I don't know yet until we get into that. Then in the third session, we're going to be looking at some of these quantum wealth triggers. So we're going to be looking at a 5-step behavioral framework for how your clients are behaving at the moment and how you can start to get them to behave in a different way. And using your influence, using your authenticity, and some of the things we've talked about now. I'm going to give you a checklist for high conversion sales pages. Now, a conversion on a sales page for many of you will just be your website and triggering them into asking for a one-on-one with you. That's what it'll be for many of you, but that's okay. Some of you have actual products that you want to sell. And then I'm going to be sharing with you what people believe they want. And this is the thing that you really should target what you're doing towards. Then a frictionless scaling system is going to be in the fourth module. So I'm going to be sharing with you 3 scaling technologies that you can use in your business to get yourself from your current state to your next desired state. We're going to be talking about app selection, so how that integrates to help you grow. So you've got to do less things. Well, of course, we're going to be talking about AI in that as well. We're going to be talking about integrating those 3 things. And then we're going to be looking at the role of strategic partners as well in that. So it's going to be a combination of AI, some scaling technologies, apps, and strategic partners. In the 5th session, we're going to be doing our Chaos Alchemy Lab, and I'll be talking about a little bit about chaos in a minute. So we're going to learn to harness chaos. We're going to master the conscious problem-solving techniques, and we're going to turn problems into opportunities. And that's been a mantra of mine for over 30 years, to turn a problem into an opportunity. I'm going to share with you how we actually go about doing that. In the final 90 minutes that we share together, we're going to be looking at legacy by design. So we're going to be looking at how you can build a scaling roadmap to have a seven-figure or mid-7-figure business. We're going to be looking at a conscious footprint for sustainable continuance of everything that you've created so it can last beyond the time that you'll be spending doing it. And we're also going to be sharing the disruptive recruiting process so that you can build out your team as well. By the time you've gone through and done these 6 things, you're going to be really set up for the next 18 months in terms of how to run your business, how to maximize what's happening in the world at the moment, how to maximize the psychology of your customer, and also how to utilize tools like AI and things like that that are available to everybody these days, but most people don't understand them. So what is this all worth? Well, your invitation is to come on board and join me for those sessions. 6 sessions, 1 every 2 weeks, plus direct access to me for any questions you've got in the meantime, plus a workbook and some video content to help you as well, so you can look at that in your own time. It's $1,595 USD, or 3 payments of $595. But wait, there's a little bit more. And so those of you that are meeting me for the first time, so that you can have some more trust, what I did is I went to LinkedIn and I went to my testimonials on LinkedIn. There's about 70 or 80 testimonials there. And I took all of them and I put them into Grok AI, and I said, sum up what these people are saying about Mike Handcock. And so it says, people consistently describe Mike as a trustworthy individual who provides reliable business and leadership advice. They highlight insightful perspective, drawing from decades of global success to offer unique and strategic guidance. Many find him inspiring with his engaging style and ability to motivate others towards personal and professional growth. Testimonials emphasize his transformative impact, helping individuals and businesses achieve significant breakthroughs and scale new heights. His extensive experience spanning multiple industries and continents is frequently praised as a key factor in his effectiveness as a mentor and coach. I thought that was a pretty good summing up there. And you can see I used AI because I've got Z's in emphasize, whereas I would have spelled it with an S. So I want to offer you as well, if you come on board with this, 2 big bonuses. So bonus number 1 is, on completion of this, you're going to do a 1-hour strategy session with me. Normally $395, where we'll work out how to actually put all of this together for you and how to go forward. And in addition to that, I want to give you 1-year access to the Circle of Excellence Private Members Club. There's members in this all around the world. There's over 20 benefits in the club, far too many of them to explain here. You're going to have conscious global members that you can network with. There's weekly live webinars. In fact, one's happening straight after our call today. That you get discounts off the live events that we're running. For instance, if you want to come to our Bali Business School next year, you'll get a significant discount off that. And there's also other online trainings that are in that. That's a $480 price. We're not making these prices up. That's what we sell these for. So here's a QR code for that. I would suggest you, at the very least, you take a screenshot of this screen so that you can do this later. I will cut this off after the weekend as well. So we're at Tuesday now. So this gives people enough time to go back and look through the video again, see what this is about. For those of you that can't use QR codes, here's a website here, https:// and then it's tinyurl.com/FAA for Future Architects Academy, FAA, COE for Circle of Excellence, which is our company. So tinyurl.com, FAA, COE. So take a screenshot of that, get your phones out, definitely come on board. I know some of you will be wanting to do this, and what's going to really deliver to you is a bit of a GPS system on how to navigate what's happening now in the world, how to navigate what's coming in the future, how to take what you've already got and rejig it so that it meets the market in a more authentic way, and to use psychology-based techniques to really engage people who may have been in your universe for some time but haven't necessarily stepped across the line and bought from you, or people who have bought from you who you wish to purchase more for you. We're going to get right into that. So there's going to be a lot of psychology in this as we go through it, and a little bit of technology as well as we go through some of the AI stuff and some of the apps and different things that you can use. So it's very new. It's stuff that we've been putting together over the last 6 months. I'm going to be really super happy to share it with you. So I see a question there. We'll get to that question. I'll have a quick look in the chat and make sure. I've worked with Mike for 5 years. I highly recommend him. It's a great investment. Thank you so much, whoever that was, because they're in there under my name. So that's perfect. The other one, a great idea using ChatGPT. Thanks, Susie. I hope you're doing well. Okay, we're going to move on from here. I'll go back to the chat a little bit later on, answer any questions that you've got. Anything that you want to know about this, I'll answer. Let's dig into number 3. Phil, I said I was bringing you in. Thank you so much for writing this testimonial on my LinkedIn. It's a very long testimonial, but I did want to read this to you because Phil Merry's been an advisor to organizations in 63 countries for 40 years, including the United Nations. And he's known me for a long time. And what Phil says, I watched Mike build a phenomenal career in global leadership and business development. He's a man who does not talk the talk, he walks the walk. I've attended many sessions run by Mike, including this one. And every time I've gained masses of benefit, and I hope you've gained some more, Phil. He knows the theory, but more importantly, he knows how to put the theory into practice. And I think that's what we're talking about here is to put the theory into practice, and that's what we're going to be doing. We do have a money-back guarantee, so after you attend the first event, if you're not happy, I'll just refund you and we can part as friends. So no problem there. Okay, so I think you've got that. It's recorded, so you can go back and listen to it and see more about that. Let's move on into chaos alchemy, and we've got 10 more minutes, so we're going to jump into this. Many years ago, I used to run an event called Rock Your Mind, Body, and Spirit. And how it started was we would take, normally we had 100 to 200 people in the room, and before people arrived, we would get the crew to take all the chairs in the room and just throw them in a big pile. And honestly, this is not a picture. I don't think we ever took a photo of the room, but this is exactly what it looked like. And then we'd pump up the music, open the doors, and people would come into the room. And it was hilarious because people would go, "Oh, you're not ready for us." "No, we're totally ready." "Oh," and they wouldn't know what to do. We'd say, "Just grab a chair and sit down." And so people come in, they look shocked. I used to really enjoy this. I don't know why I don't still do it. And but guess what happened? Because this was total chaos, right? So we just started this whole thing, Rock Your Mind, Body, and Spirit, in chaos. The people themselves, the participants of the room, took a chair, and where the first person put it down, the second person put one next to them. When the second person put it down, the third one put it next to them. And suddenly they built a theatre-style room where all the chairs were neatly in a row. And it showed me that we always try and organize chaos. Human nature is to make sense out of chaos. And we live in a chaotic world. So you and I are always trying to organize this into a way in which we can understand it. That's one of the biggest reasons that we're putting together the program that you just saw. But I want to talk about chaos in terms of this chaos alchemy matrix. And I'm not going to dig into everything here, because across the top here, you'll see that people go from uncertainty, and now they're uncertain. They start to become a little bit creative. Okay, I've got to do something with it. I've got to become creative. And then suddenly, if they've got the right things in order, alchemy tips in. And alchemy is where you make gold out of metal. But the same process on the other side means that you have to dissolve what the current problem is firstly. Then you have to purify that problem, and then you have to take the key ingredients of that problem and integrate them. So the key here is following this line here. So when you have uncertainty, if you just spend time and dissolve that uncertainty, you will unveil the chaos. So you will start to get it into some of its component parts, and you'll start to understand what's causing this chaos. Then as you purify this more into its components and add creativity to it, just like salt and pepper, you start to get this essence of innovation, where you start to think more laterally about this chaos that's happening around you. And then if you can start to integrate some of these things, and you can get centered enough through using things like meditation, prayer, stillness, long walks in sunshine, etc., you might be able to move into alchemy, and that's when you hit what is called the philosopher's synthesis. And that literally means, and I've put it in the writing below here, it turns chaos into a thriving, stable pathway forward. So this is the model for chaos. And so what we're going to do is please feel free to take a screenshot. What we're going to do here is we're going to just spend a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and we're just going to see if we can crack a code here for anybody here. So let me do this. I'm going to ask you this question. Write this down. What chaos are you experiencing right now in your life? What chaos are you experiencing? Here's the chaos here, this big red dot in the middle. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at what are the 3 biggest parts of that chaos for you. So what does that mean for you? What are the 3 biggest things? So, for instance, is the chaos, for instance, my business is not getting enough clients? And so the 3 biggest things might be, my marketing's not right, I'm not sure how to sell well enough, and I haven't gone back to my existing clients and asked them for referrals, for instance. What's the chaos you're experiencing? What's the 3 biggest things that come out of that? Write down your 3 biggest things. Then, and we are moving this along pretty quickly, then what I want you to do is I want you to look at each of those 3 things and come up with 3 quick ways, 3 quick things that you could do to move that ball forward. So I said here, the problem is my business is not making enough money, so I'm not marketing well enough. So what could I do? Well, number 1 is I could do some social posting. Number 2 is that I could create a list and start writing weekly newsletters out to that list. Number 3 is I could build some strategic alliances. Then write those down, whatever comes for you. Then the next thing is I'm not good enough at sales. So what are 3 things that I could do? Is I could go and do a sales course, right? Number 2 is I could learn some psychology, because I'm probably already asking it. Number 3 is I could work on better questions. And then, lastly, I said, I'm probably not doing much with my existing clients. So I could, 1, ask for referrals. 2, I could create a new product that I think that they might like, that could be, less expensive maybe than the original product I sold them. Or number 3, I could simply throw a party or an evening for my existing clients. So what I want you to do now, just using that process, just have a bit of a think while I go to the chat about what you've created out of that, and if anything has popped for you. So I'm going to have a look at the chat in a second, but I want to finish up by, whilst I'm doing that, I want to just remind you about the Future Architects Academy. I would love for some of you that are sitting on the fence at the moment, maybe you've been on a number of my webinars in the past, to jump in and actually do some work with me. I'm not going to drop the ball with you. I've never dropped the ball with anybody, so it's not going to start with you. We're going to help you get a great result for really what is very, very little money. And you've got a payment plan if you want to use it, 6 by 90-minute group sessions, 4 hours of video training, and full coaching access to me via WhatsApp, plus a bonus hour strategy session at the end and the private members club as well. Let's go to the chat and have a look at that. So I'll just put the QR code up for those of you that haven't seen it. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Enlightening. If we're all a member of the private club, do we get a discount? No, it was a bonus. And thanks for the question, though. Cash flow issues with clients not paying on time. Okay, that's your thing. Clients not paying on time. So what are 3 things that you could do? Is that you could talk to them about a strict policy. You could limit your services, number 2, or you could simply tell them that you can't work with them anymore. So those could be 3 things that you could do there. Not easy selling to existing clients, and cross-selling and upselling is tough, okay? You could look at maybe some new potential clients there and look at what they do, having new clients on. You could look at a new product that may be totally outside of something that you do, but could be something that they want. Remember, even in this course that I'm talking about here, we're going to be talking about what people really want. And I've found so many times that what honestly you guys are doing is just slightly off what they really want. And when you get that right, everything starts to happen. Love the roadmap, expectations, build rapport, crafted value, urgency, social proof, great call to action, great message. Thanks, Mike. Warriors, Brian. Kia ora. It's been inspiring to reconnect in this format. Congrats on our continued success. Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite. May be significant global influence, continue to empower others to be the best they can be. One can only imagine where the company would be today. Oh, hi, Chris. Would be if Graham Clegg had turned chaos into legacy and generational wealth for his members. Well done, Chris. Launching my own business after working for 25 years in corporate world. Number 1, keep it simple. 1 product, 1 service. Number 2, 1 audience only, 1 type of person only. Number 3, don't charge too little for it. Okay, there's your 3. Do you have a method for tapping the quantum field for sales? I think so, Phil, but you and I are going to talk, so maybe ask me about it when we talk personally. Massive amount of value for the price, a no-brainer. Mike's awesome to work with. Thank you, Dennis. Scaling as a solo entrepreneur, utilizing apps, utilizing people who want something from you but cannot pay for it, and utilizing strategic alliances and joint ventures. It's not difficult to scale as a solo entrepreneur. Shelley, thank you. Your energy and presentation are very authentic. Got the authentic part. That's good. Have to dash. So do we all. It's right on the time that we're finishing up. So hopefully some of you can join us on this. I won't be repeating this offer this year. It's going to be your only chance to do that. Thank you all for being on the call today. And I wish you all the very, very best. And go back and watch the recording. We'll be sending it all to you as well. Bye, everyone. Ciao.